Some of the practical considerations in the design of your MRV system include, what are your current capacities at present? What kind of systems and data do you have? And what are the gaps in that for the needs for RED? What is it that you specifically want to address? Are you planning to monitor biodiversity conservation or change in rural livelihoods? What are the links to the National Greenhouse Gas Inventory and reporting process? Those need to be addressed. And what kind of resolution do you need? Is a national system fine, or do you need to move to subnational activity monitoring as well in individual provinces or states or projects somewhere? Who might be responsible for designing the system and for developing and implementing it? What kinds of technical assistance or training might be necessary and when? And finally, what the cost might be of implementing, both designing and then implementing such a system over time. A couple of examples of how countries are beginning to think about designing their MRV system include, in this case, a slide for Papua New Guinea developed by colleagues at FAO. And it looks at the three major areas, at forest land monitoring on the left, and then carbon and forest inventory in the center, and then the greenhouse gas inventory element on the right, and then works through some early ideas on what kinds of approaches might be taken, roughly how long they might take in terms of years. In the next column, a rough cost estimate, what kinds of training might be needed, and who might be responsible. So an early set of ideas from one country. Similarly, in Mexico, the evolving framework there, and this is from a very early description of it, combines forest inventory and higher resolution and lower resolution remote sensing and an ecological process model. So it combines both Landsat, AVHRR, and MODIS data, as well as SPOT. And they also used a technique of having a very dense sampling set in the left map of 25,000 plots, which in order to show change over time in a few years, they resampled 5 years later 20% of the plots in order to get some kind of sense of carbon change over time. Just a couple more slides to finish up in this component. In Guyana, there's a proposal by the Clinton Climate Initiative and others to organize a system that looks something like this. It would be have a national measurement system, which would include data collection from forest inventory plots, ground data, climate data, satellite remote sensing data, et cetera, a set of models that would use this data to extrapolate throughout the whole country, and then identify a set of outputs, what they would produce, including maps in a geographic information system for use by technicians, and then a whole set of reporting requirements on the right for both domestic reporting and international UNFCCC reporting, including the greenhouse gas inventory process. And overall, there are stakeholder consultations early and throughout the process to keep stakeholders involved. And lastly, the MRV design a process for defining the next steps might be through gap analysis, by starting and estimating existing capabilities in terms of a forest inventory, remote sensing, co-benefits, et cetera, identifying what the RED monitoring and reporting requirements are for your country context, identifying the gaps in between, and then finally outlining a work plan over, say, a 5-year time frame in the RPP that might identify funding, tech assistance, and other needs. Finally, just to wrap up, the key documents are the IPCC Good Practice Guidance of 2006 and the GOFSI Gold Sourcebook, which includes a number of details on many of these aspects. So that's a quick overview of the MRV component in the RPP, and we look forward to working you on it. Thanks very much.